Hello, and welcome back to the Effective Weight Loss for Moms podcast. My name is Rachel, and I'm really glad that you're here today. And if you're watching on YouTube, hello from my completely makeupless self. At least I have clean hair. I was thinking, man, I should try a little more now that I'm putting podcast episodes on YouTube. Maybe put some makeup on or do my hair a little bit or change out of my workout clothes. But I think most of you guys are listening to this because you can somewhat relate to me. And this is who I am. I don't wear makeup very much. And not that I have anything against it. I just don't typically have time to put it on in the morning. And I wear workout clothes all day, every day. And that's me. So you can take me or leave me. Anyway, if you're new, I just want to say welcome. And I'm so glad that you're here and that you're really thinking about how to prioritize your health. I know that it is really hard to do when you're a mom and you feel like your attention is pulled in so many different directions all the time. And it feels hard to put a pause on that and to say, no, right now is about taking care of my body for my other kids. But that's what we're all about on this podcast. It's what I talk about, how moms can actually take the time to take care of their bodies so that they can show up in the best way possible for their family. So if you're new here, welcome. All right, so today's topic is about how to stop spiraling when your fitness plans get derailed. And I really think this is really, really important because so many of us have this pattern, and I've dealt with this too. I actually dealt with this kind of recently. I shared a little bit about my health struggles that I've been having a few episodes ago back in December. But essentially, I've been recently diagnosed as having Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune thyroid problem. And I noticed that I was gaining weight, essentially uncontrollably. And despite not changing my eating habits. And it kind of hit me hard. At the same time that I got diagnosed with that, I also found out I was in perimenopause early as well. So there was a lot of hormonal stuff happening in addition to a really intense season with one of my kids having some struggles with, I won't go into details because it's not my story, but just a lot of big feelings and a lot of having to help him to learn how to regulate himself and us learning how to regulate. And it's been a lot. Last fall was really, really hard. And because my fat loss was not going how I thought it should, I struggled a little bit. I sort of got in this mental place of, why even bother anymore? Why even bother? And you know what, though, really helped me was recognizing, one, my goals are behavior-based and not outcome-based. So what that means is I control if I go to the gym. I control what foods I eat, how much protein I get, but I can't control what my body does with that. And that's okay. And it really lifted a big burden off of me because you can make this about yourself, about your identity, whether you are a failure or whether you're not successful. And the reality is, I think that it's so much more critical to focus on who you are and what the truth is. Because then when something happens like this, that foundation can't be shaken. And for me, I went through a storm, and I'm still in the storm, y'all. It's a whole thing. But I still know that I'm an athlete. I still know that I am strong and I am training for a goal and I'm an athlete. And it doesn't matter what the scale says. It doesn't matter if, my inputs aren't equaling what I think the output should be right now because I know who I am. So I think that's one of the reasons that I think it's so important for us to think about what are we going to do when life happens and something derails us. It doesn't have to be going into perimenopause early and having Hashimoto's. It could be your kid getting sick. It could be work blowing up. It could be a family emergency or a death in the family or any disruptive event that can derail your fitness plans. So the first thing, obviously, is make sure that your goals are behavior-based. They truly are within your control. I can control that I go to the gym and I lift weights X number of times a week. I can control that. And that made me feel really good during this time when I felt like there was so much inside my body that was not in my control. It made me feel really good that, hey, I can still show up here and I can still lift these weights and I can still work hard. And I know my body is going to get itself together. It already is. I'm making progress. I'll have to do an episode on everything that I did and all the things that I'm doing to help my body go through this process. I'll do that once I'm through it. Anyway, so that's the first thing is I think that you need to be aware that this is going to happen. That's the first step. It's going to happen. And also to be aware of who you are. If you consider yourself to be an athlete, then whatever happens is just a bump in the road. You're still an athlete. It doesn't matter if the scale's going up. It doesn't matter if, whatever else is going on with you. You're still an athlete training for a goal. And I think having that mindset piece, the separation of exercise from an outcome is so important because we don't just exercise to lose weight. That is actually not why we do it. We exercise to build muscle. That's our focus here. So the first thing that I want you to think about is, what's your identity? Do you see yourself as an athlete? And I know that's so weird to think about. I remember having this concept coming alive in my brain and just being like, no, like I am an athlete. It doesn't matter that I'm a mom. It doesn't matter that I'm, short and not super strong yet and anything about me. I am choosing to take on the identity of an athlete. And then look, here I am now, total athlete. So that's the first thing I want to say. All right. Now, I want to talk about reframing the whatever it is that's happening to you, the situation, okay? Because it's not the situation, it's actually how you respond to it that matters. So when something happens that derails our plan, let's say the kids get sick. I remember when I had littler kids, it was like they would be sick for a month. No joke. And if you have multiple kids or you have any kids, you probably know that stage between, I feel like it's 6 months to 3, and they just get sick all the time. All the time. And you feel like you just can't win. You just can't win. So I've been there. And when you run into something like that, like, oh my gosh, daycare's calling again, and I'm not going to be able to go to the gym, or I'm going to have to deal with this fussy kid, you can only control how you respond. You can't control the actual situation. And if you start to notice yourself saying things like, oh my gosh, I just can't do this, and you start to notice a shame spiral, I'll never be able to consistently work out. I always fall off the plan like this. Anything that's like an always, never type of thing, red flag that. Red flag that. That's a lie. Okay, anytime you say things like that, always and never. And also, if people say that to you about you, that's a red flag. That is perpetuating shame. So if you start to notice that shame spiral, what you don't want to do is you don't want to just allow that to spiral down and to continue, because then the end of that road is throwing hands in the air, give up. That's the end of the shame spiral. So we're trying to prevent that. But the first thing we need to do is be aware that you're in a shame spiral. Life gets disrupted. Oh my gosh, I just can't do it. Shame spiral. And then in the end, we are, why even try? Nothing matters territory. We want to prevent that. So the first thing you do is you notice, I'm in a shame spiral, or I have a negative mindset about this. When we talk about actually resetting when our plans get derailed, I have a few things that I want you to do, 3 specifically. And this is all stuff I talk about inside my program, the Fat Loss Formula for Moms. Inside that, I talk a lot about adaptability as being a key component in consistency. So many of you guys want to stay consistent, and that's what you need to do to actually get long-term results, is you need to stay consistent. It's not going to be a big burst of effort for a few weeks. It is months and years of consistency. It's lifestyle, which is the approach I take with my clients. We are building a lifestyle. We are not just solving a problem for one time and then you're done from there. No, this is about a lifestyle. And I think that's so much of the problem that, us in America have, is we don't have a lifestyle of health. We don't have a lifestyle of moving, of lifting, of eating vegetables and eating protein. And that is the foundational issue. I talk about that a lot on the podcast, but the lifestyle is the foundation. We lift weights, we eat protein, we eat veggies and fiber, and we really have that optimized. So what I want you to think about when you are thinking about adaptability, which is a key component of being able to be consistent, because we know this is going to happen. So you need to learn how to adapt. I want you to think about this as a skill. It is not an identity. You are not a sucky adapter, and that's just who you are. No, you are new at learning how to adapt. It is a skill, and guess what? Gets better the more you practice. Adaptability. You get real good at it if you keep practicing. So I want you to think about this as a skill you're developing and not a character flaw. Key. That's key. The first thing we're going to do when life throws us a curveball, the kids get sick, work blows up, whoever else knows what happened. It could be anything. It could be like, one time I had cooked a whole bunch of chicken breast, and my son, he was probably like 4, he left the refrigerator door open for like all night long, and all of my chicken went bad. Anyway, that was a really hard day. But that's what I'm talking about. That's the type of thing that makes you want to throw your hands in the air and just be like, why even bother? We're going to McDonald's, right? Am I right? Okay. So the first thing we're going to do when this happens, we're going to pause. Take a deep breath. Help your nervous system kind of reset for a second. And then call out any lies that are going through your brain, such as, I'll never be able to do this. I always fail. I can't. I'll never. I always. That type of stuff, call that out. Okay? Call it out. And I want you to say to yourself, I can be consistent no matter how I feel. I can prioritize my health, even if I feel like I can't right now. I feel this way. That's a fact. You can say how you feel. I feel discouraged. I feel shame. I feel angry. I feel frustrated. And I can prioritize my health. Fact. Okay? It's okay to feel how you feel. Feelings are real. They are real. Also real is that you can overcome whatever the situation is. Okay? That's the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pause. Identify. The second step, identify. What is actually happening right now? What are the facts about this situation? Not how I feel about them, not drama. What are the actual facts, okay? My kids are sick. My coworkers asked me to eat out and there's nothing healthy at the restaurant. The fridge went out and all my food went bad. What are the facts that are actually happening? Take that. Then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to adapt. What can I do to mitigate the damage of this or make this less impactful on my life? I'm going to do 2 workouts at home instead of 2 workouts at the gym. That could be an example. Okay, all our food went bad in our fridge. For dinner tonight, I'm sending my husband out for a rotisserie chicken and bag salad and I don't know, whatever else you want to have so I can have a good source of protein. My coworkers invited me to eat out and there's nothing healthy at the restaurant. I'm going to enjoy this meal and I'm going to stop eating when I am satisfied and not stuffed. What can you do to mitigate the damage or lessen the impact of this. And then do that thing and give yourself grace. This is prioritizing your health. That is what it is. You honing the skill of adaptability is teaching your brain to not spiral. Okay, this is what's happening right now. This is how we pivot, and then we move on with our life. Okay? That's why I think it's so important to have a program that fits with your actual life, not cookie cutter. There's so many programs out there that are cookie cutter. And if you are tired of that, or if you need help with this type of skill building and identity building, and to see yourself as an athlete, reach out to me. Book a discovery call. We can chat about if my program is right for you. If you're tired of maybe like listening to the opinions of 20-something-year-old fitness influencers in regards to your health, and you want to know what it's like from an actual mom in real life with 5 kids, how to make it happen, I can help you with that, okay? You can book a call with me by clicking the link in the show notes. I'd love to connect with you and see how I can help you. All right, so the tangible thing I want you to do, the action item for this week, I want you to think through these prompts I'm going to give you and just mull over what your response will be, what your plan will be if these things happen. And if these don't apply to you, come up with some that do. So for example, if my kids get sick, then how am I going to adapt the workout plan? If you have to be at home, what are we going to do? Just mull it through, walk through that process mentally so that when it happens, you've already done that work and the shock isn't there anymore. And you're able to, I've thought through this, I can handle this, okay? If work explodes, what are you going to do? If you are exhausted, you didn't sleep well, your period started, somebody woke you up 15 times last night. I feel like that was my life for so many years. Side note, things are actually getting better in the sleep department in our family, and it feels so good. I only had to spend like 11 years sleep deprived, but we've gotten there. Who else can relate to that? Anyway, if whatever family event disrupts my normal routine, I will. And these are not hard and fast. This is a mental exercise for you to just work through and sort of develop the skill of adaptability. That's what we're building, okay? All right, so that's what I want you to do. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would love if you would email me at rachel@effectivefitnessforwomen.com and tell me what your if-then plans were. If my kid gets sick, then blah, blah, blah. Let me know what they are. I would love to hear how you're going to work through this. And it's also some accountability for you. Okay? All right. I will talk to you next time on the Effective Weight Loss for Moms podcast.